Hey guys, Zach here, and welcome back to another video. And today, I thought I'd do a little comparison between the Mattel Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom figures and the Kenner Jurassic Park and the Lost World figures. So, yeah. But before I get into this, I just want to give off, like, a bit of an update. Someone has recently bought a house, which we're happy about, and there's this other place that we're looking at. There's a good chance of us getting it, so yeah, if we do get the house, then we should move sometime in June. So you should expect videos again either July or August. Maybe even June, maybe even a little bit later than August, like September. But then again, that's kind of unlikely. But yeah, anyway, just a bit of an update right there. But yeah, that's basically it for that. Now, before I get on to this comparison, I just have something to say for all you Kenner fans out there. If you're someone who is a really big fan of Kenner, or if you're a person that, you know, grew up with these figures when you were a little kid and you have fond memories of these figures, I just would like to apologize in advance because there are some things in this video that I'm going to say that, not gonna lie, they're kind of controversial. So, yeah. Anyway, with that warning out of the way, again, if I do offend you or anything like that, I do apologize, but yeah. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get into this review. Or, not a review, but like a comparison of sorts. So, yeah. So, I went to Walmart the other day. I think I'd say Tuesday or Wednesday. Might have even been a Thursday. But I go to Walmart trying to look for some Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom figures, thinking, alright, they're out in some stores around the country, so, and like they're supposed to be released on April 16th, but I got mine on the 12th, so it was a Thursday actually. So I find these figures, you know, I didn't find a lot of things, you know. I found little blind bags, I found like a 3-pack of like those like blind bags, a couple of other things. I found the Owen Grady figure with the armor, but that I thought was kind of stupid. These are all the figures that I really wanted to get, and these are all the ones that were interesting that I found. So I bought these, but a couple days earlier, I bought one of the Lego sets. It was the Carnotaurus Carnage, I think. I'm not too sure, but either way, I got that set, and it's not a bad set. A couple of minor things, but again, it's a really nice set. But yeah, we're not here to talk about Legos, we're here to talk about these figures. So yeah, these are all the figures that I got. And the way I like to think of it, as like a little like taste test before like the actual thing. Or like, I like to think of this as like the appetizer before like... Alright, I should stop talking about food because I'm fat, so yeah. Anyway, I found these figures and I thought, let's compare them to Kenner, so yeah. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get into this comparison. So first we'll compare the dinosaurs. So looking at the Raptor here, this is blue. And if we're looking at the Raptor here and the original Kenner Raptor, in some aspects I like this figure more, but in other aspects I like this figure a lot too. Mainly like the sculpt. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the sculpt on this figure. It's classic, it's great, I love this, you know, but this is a little bit more movie accurate for me, you know, because if you look at that head, hang on, let me just adjust the lighting here. If you look at this head, that is exactly like an original Jurassic Park Raptor, you know, and this figure's kind of like that too, but yeah, a little bit less so. So yeah. One thing in terms of the sculpt that I like is that the feet. On this figure, the feet are a little bit too big, or on this one it's not. And like, this doesn't bother me, but it's still something to point out. The reason why this stands pretty well is because like it's balanced well, you know. The reason why the feet need to be big is because these figures are aggressively stanced, or not aggressively stanced, but like, well, kind of that way, where these figures are just neutral. So yeah. Also, something to point out that's kind of like one of the biggest changes with these figures is that with the original Jurassic Park figures, you would have the JP logo right here on the side with 03 right there. I don't know if you can see that, but it says 03. With the new figures, you don't get that. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit bummed out about that. But we still kind of get that underneath here because, again, let me just adjust the lighting. Right here, we get the Jurassic Park logo, or Jurassic World logo, the new one. So it's just like a part of the skeleton. And here is this thing where like you can scan, and you can basically like get this dinosaur on your phone with a certain app. I don't have that app, and honestly I don't plan on getting it because, well, yeah. I feel like it'd be fun for kids, but yeah, for me, I don't know. But yeah, that's something that's really big when it comes to these figures that change. The sculpt, as I said before, the feet are a little bit too big. Or I was just talking about the sculpt. You know, there I go again. I'm kind of a dumbass like that. Let me just fix the camera here. But yeah, but the articulation, this figure has a lot more articulation, and this one is a lot more posable too. This one is like great too. Like, I'm not trying to bash on Kenner. I love Kenner, all right, but I'm gonna be honest. You know, the articulation, I forgot the word for a second, it's a lot better on this figure, because with this one, it's basic. Squeeze the legs and the mouth opens. Legs can move, arms can move, and tail can move. It's basic stuff, you know. But with this figure, there's a lot more posability. So the head can twist 360, up, down, and the mouth can open. The arms can go upwards about this much, and they can twist. The legs can move about that much. Something I'm not too crazy about is that, like, whenever you move the legs, there's like a click, like, kind of like clicks into place, where this one, it's just smooth. I like that a lot more, but to be honest, it's not really an issue for me. But yeah, something that's kind of cool that I don't think we've gotten before, the legs can move inwards and outwards. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And lastly, this is something that was on the Hasbro Indominus Rex figure, but if you push this right here, it reveals dino damage. And unlike where it was like a piece of plastic covering another piece of plastic, this is like, this piece right here, it's just one piece of plastic, so it just like spins, you know. It's not like, it's like a piece of, like, two separate pieces of plastic, or three. But yeah, which I think is a lot better. But yeah, again, I'm really sorry, but in terms of articulation, this figure is better. And again, I'm not trying, like, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I'm not trying to bash Kenner at all, you know. I love Kenner, you know. Kenner is great, you know. I've spent $300 on a Kenner figure before, and $120 on a Kenner figure too, but yeah. This figure, like, I still think that, like, this figure is better in some aspects, but this figure is still pretty good in some aspects too. But yeah, and the detailing, I don't know. I don't know which one I like more, because you can see all of, like, the wrinkles and whatnot, and all of, like, the scales, kind of. And it's the same for this one. I do think that the, like, the feet are detailed a little bit better. Let me just adjust my lighting here. Because if you look at the feet, you can see that my camera can focus. There's, like, scaling going on, but with this figure, there's, like, well, there's some of that, but it doesn't look as good as on this figure. But other than that, I don't know which one I like more when it comes to detailing, so yeah. Anyway, that's basically it for the Raptors. If I had to pick between the two, I'd say this figure. I love this figure, don't get me wrong, but this figure's just a classic, you know. Like, this figure does beat this figure in a lot of ways, but again, this figure is just a classic, and I love this thing, so yeah. Anyway, that's it for the Raptors. We're just going to put these guys over here for now. Now we'll take a look at the Stiggy Moloch. Now, this is going to be a little complicated. Let me adjust the lighting here. This is going to be a little complicated, because I don't think we've ever gotten a Stiggy Moloch figure before, so I'm just going to compare to the Series 2 Pachycephalosaurus repaint that was for the Lost World, so yeah. So let's start comparing. The paint, if I had to pick, I'd pick this figure. Because with this figure, like, I like the colors on it. It's very, like, vibrant and colorful. I like that, but something about this paint just, you know, looks a lot better to me. So, yeah. Again, the JP logo is gone on this figure, and it's instead replaced with the scan code and the Jurassic World logo right here. Articulation, this figure is better, you know. So the head can move upwards that much and downwards that much. It's basically the same articulation, except like a little bit less, because like the Raptor could open its mouth. This figure can't. It'd be cool if it did though, but yeah. But for the most part, it's the same as Blue. Spread. This leg spreads more than this one. This one like barely spreads, but this one like moves out a lot, so yeah. And again, the dino damage thing, or battle damage. I'm sorry, I'm used to dino damage, but yeah, the battle damage right there. And the articulation on the Kenner figure, give me a second. The articulation on the Kenner figure is, again, button right here that moves the head. And, yeah. I'd say this figure's better, you know? So, yeah. Like, in terms of, like, articulation, I'd say this figure's better. Yeah. So, for the articulation that we just went over, this figure's better. The sculpt, I'm just going to let this speak for itself. I'm just going to hold up the Stiggy Moloch. That looks really good. In the front, it looks a little weird. Actually, not really, actually. When I first was looking at this thing, the front looked a little weird, but now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't look too weird, actually. Like, it doesn't look like it's uneven on one side. So that's cool. And yeah, this, alright, I'm sorry, this figure is better when it comes to the sculpt. So yeah, anyway, like, I'm not gonna talk about it too much, just this figure really takes the cake. So yeah, now I'll take a look at the detailing. And the detailing, I'd say it's better on this figure, because like with the detailing on this figure, it's just like a bunch of like lines on this figure. And some of the, like, there are some like other bits of detailing that look nice on this figure too. Like the wrinkles and the creases in the back of the neck here. And like the feet, they're detailed nicely too. But if I had to pick between the two, I'd say that the detailing on this figure is way better. So yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Stiggy Moloch and the Pachycephalosaurus. Unlike with the Blue figure and the original Raptor, I prefer this figure over this figure. So, yeah. This figure wins, but yeah. Now, we'll take a look at the human figure. So, first we'll take a look at this this mercenary unit. I forgot the word for a second. And he comes with a baby Dimorphodon. And it's cool that they're trying to stick to the original with like a human figure, a little baby dinosaur, and like an accessory. And I decided to bring in Nick Van Owen. So, yeah. So in terms of the paint, I'd say this figure like is a lot more like realistic, you know? Because like with Nick Van Owen, it's just like bright yellows and like kind of like a cyan color. With this figure, it's like more of a realistic color. So, yeah. So, in terms of the paint, I'd say this is better. Articulation, again, this figure has more articulation. I'm just going to take this out of his hand. It's basically like a G.I. Joe. The head is on a ball joint. Outwards that much, bend at the elbow. No wrist articulation, which is kind of a bummer. I'm not going to lie about that. That is a little bit upsetting. But your legs should move about that much. Spread, that much. Bend at the knee. and there is a swivel in the knee. So, yeah. That is basically it for the articulation. For this figure, anyway. And for this figure, yeah, it's basic. So, yeah, pretty basic, but in terms of articulation, this figure kind of wins. I'm sorry. For the sculpt, I'd say they're tied, you know? Like, this figure is more like neutral standing. Like, this Nick Van Owen, it's kind of posed, but yeah, I still think that looks pretty good, but yeah. In terms of the sculpt, I'd say these guys are pretty equal. And for the detailing, I feel like there's a lot more detailing here, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of detailing here too. So, yeah. Again, I'd say the detailing is tied, so, yeah. These figures are tied. I don't know which one I like more, but, yeah. But that's enough for the humans, anyway. Now for the little dinosaurs, or these aren't dinosaurs, these are flying reptiles, but yeah. Something I wasn't expecting is that these things are made out of rubber, a very soft plastic, so you could like move them around in many ways. Like this is like good for kids, you know, because they could like do whatever they want with these. But like I feel like if they like play with it enough, I feel like it'll like break. But with this figure, it's just like solid, and you still can move it a little, but it's not like rubbery like this thing, or this Dimorphodon right here. So, yeah. In terms of the paint, this figure, this thing has no paint, which is a bit of a bummer, but yeah, this thing, hands down, has the better paint job. Articulation, there is none. The sculpt, I'd say this figure's better, you know. This Pteranodon right here is I mean, it looks alright, but yeah, it's not as good as this.